Good morning, it's a lovely day here in Avalon, and I've just had a few things on my mind the last few hours. A lot of it is the result of watching a fabulous video on the consortium of misfits. Go and check out the channel if you haven't done. It's a group of us, nearly 100 of us, and we basically share videos about music, psychology, politics, whatever it is that we want to share. It's an amazing idea, actually. And so go and check it out, the Consortium of Misfits. It kind of came from the whole, looking at the Lucy Letby stuff and, basically looking at the evidence, the lack of evidence, and realising that she's actually innocent. So yeah, go and check it out, that'd be great. So I saw a video, and what it was about was, it was about psychiatry, and does psychiatry really work? Perhaps what we need is sort of a different, we need to look at the trauma of how we are born, our childhood traumas, that keep us quite trapped. Maybe we need to look at them in a different way. And perhaps our connection to spirit, or actually, imagining that we have something with us, Christ with us, for instance, in Christianity, or perhaps Buddha, or perhaps Krishna, if you're a Hindu, walking at our side. So it's about how anxiety can arise, especially for those people who have children living at home and then they leave the nest, as it were. So yes, it was lots of food for thought from Turquoise Blue. I don't know her actual name, but she puts up some very thought-provoking videos, actually. A lot to do with psychology and psychiatry. It got me thinking about childhood trauma, and more specifically about how we actually come into the world, and even before we're born, possibly in the womb as well itself. So I know that the practices in hospitals can be quite harsh, and I've heard that they cut the placenta the umbilical cord far too early, and that actually it would be a much better idea if the mother could hold the child still with the umbilical cord intact. So, as she mentioned, I think a lot of our traumas go back to even our first few breaths on the planet, and perhaps even further back than that, perhaps when we're in the womb. So if you think of it, we're physically and emotionally a part of the mother, even once we're in the womb. Apparently when I was in my mum's womb, whenever she laughed, I used to move. I spoke to a friend once about what her mum had told her, and she ended up being a dancer, and apparently whenever there was music on, she would move around and dance. So perhaps, we already have our personalities, perhaps we're already forming once we're actually in the womb. And some people would say that, our DNA and the eggs go right back to our great-grandmothers. So, no wonder if we're having a traumatic birth, then those are the first few moments. Surely those, really do affect who we become when we get older, although we may not have any recollection of it. Some people are separated at birth for strange reasons, or they're premature and they don't have that natural bonding with the mother at the beginning of life. So in my case, my mother was a bit horrified because I got swapped over by mistake when I was a baby. There was another mother who actually claimed me. So you can imagine my mum's dismay when she sees somebody actually feeding me when she's been given this other lady's baby. I wonder to an extent whether that's had an effect on me personally, just seems like there was chaos happening, even, even when I was a newborn. So yeah, it's really interesting to think of these things, isn't it? To think back to the actual birth. And I know that they do inject babies now with this vitamin K thing and all sorts, but I think the natural ways are probably the best. So, leaving the umbilical cord there, bonding with the mother, as well as breastfeeding. These are all natural things. This is what we're supposed to do, really. This is what nature, God, spirit, whatever you call it, these are the gifts that have been given to us. So that's the natural way, the holistic way. And I tend to follow that principle in most things in life generally. But so what are your thoughts about being in the womb, being born, whether that does affect you into adulthood? We talk a lot about trauma, childhood trauma. Maybe we need to start talking about birth trauma. Maybe we've all got mild PTSD from that. Who knows? And also yesterday, I went to this wonderful place, which is a place where you can go in a flotation tank. And that also made me think, somebody in one of the comments, again it was turquoise blue, mentioned about the womb. Is it like going back to the womb? And I imagine it probably is. I mean, there wouldn't be the heartbeat, the sound of the heartbeat. But there's a part of me wondering whether I should go back to meditating on how it felt in the womb. The womb is a safe place. And can you imagine, it is quite traumatizing coming out into the world. And my mother's kind of spoken about our different personalities coming out, the way we were actually born. So, my one brother came out and he looked very much like a judge, very much like, sussing everything out. And apparently I did a forward, not walkover, forward roll when I came out. And I was a bit like, here I am, that sort of thing when I was born. Anyhow, so these flotation tanks, I imagine, they're very dark and you're held in water. You're floating on this salty water for maybe an hour at a time. I'm not quite sure how long it goes on for. But it's definitely something I would like to look into doing sometime. Have any of you done that? And what were the results of it? Well, thank you so much for watching today. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. And go and check out a consortium of misfits. We're a funny bunch. You never quite know what you're going to get next. Like licorice, all sorts, really. So yeah, birth trauma, the subject of today's amble. You take care now. Have a lovely day. Greetings from Avalon.